Have you ever wondered what truly lies beneath the surface of your desires? Not the fleeting wants, the transient cravings that chase you through your days and haunt your nights, but the raw, untamed energy that fuels them. What if I told you that the very impulse you've been conditioned to see as a momentary release, a simple biological function, is in fact the key to unlocking genius? That the fire you feel in your loins is the same fire that Forges and Pires creates timeless art and connects a man to the very source of life itself. We ask a provocative question today. Do women react differently to men who don't ejaculate? But this question is merely a doorway. It's a keyhole through which we glimpse a much larger, more profound mystery. The real question isn't about how others see you. The real question is, are you ready to see yourself? Are you ready to meet the man you were always meant to be? The one who doesn't spill his power, but masters it. Society has handed you a very specific script about your masculine energy, about your sexual nature. It's a script of consumption, of instant gratification. It has taught you to see your desire as a thirst that must be quenched immediately, an itch that must be scratched. It has sold you a hollow and fleeting version of pleasure, packaged in pixels and promises of escape. It has told you that your virility is measured in release, in the number of conquests, in the explosive, momentary emptying of your vital force. But this is a profound and tragic misunderstanding. It's a sleight of hand that keeps you trapped in a cycle of seeking and spending, leaving you perpetually depleted, chasing a horizon that always recedes. You feel it, don't you? That subtle, gnawing emptiness after the peak, that sense of being drained, not just physically, but psychically, spiritually. It's the quiet echo in a room that was, for a moment, filled with sound and fury, signifying nothing. The great thinker Napoleon Hill, a man who dedicated his life to studying the anatomy of success, stumbled upon a secret known to the mystics, the titans of industry, and the most influential leaders throughout history. He called it sexual transmutation, a term that might sound clinical, even strange, but it describes one of the most powerful alchemical processes a man can undertake. Hill wasn't a puritan. He wasn't advocating for repression or denial. He was a pragmatist of the soul. He observes that the very same energy that drives the procreation of the species, this raw primal creative force, is the very same energy that fuels ambition, ignites creativity, enhances charisma, and builds unshakable personal power. So that the sex drive is not merely a physical urge, it is the creative energy of all geniuses. There never has been, and never will be, a great leader, builder, or artist lacking in this driving force of sex. But here is the distinction that separates the master from the slave. The average man squanders this energy. He allows it to be the master of his mind, dictating his actions, pulling him into compulsive loops of thought and behavior. He seeks release as an end in itself. The master, the conscious man, understands that this energy is a sacred resource. It is raw fuel. And like any fuel, it can be used to heat a small room for a night, or it can be refined and channeled to launch a rocket to the stars. The choice has always been yours. Transmutation is not about extinguishing the fire. It's about building a furnace. It's the art of containing that primal heat, that inner sun, and directing its immense power with conscious intent. It is the journey from being a puppet of your passions to becoming the sovereign of your own inner kingdom. Let's descend into the realm of symbols, for our psyche understands this language far better than the cold logic of words. Imagine this energy as a wild, untamed river flowing through you. For most of your life, you've allowed this river to flow aimlessly, to burst its banks in moments of uncontrolled passion, creating floods of momentary pleasure, followed by droughts of vitality and purpose. Or perhaps you've tried to dam it up entirely out of fear, shame, or guilt. But a dammed river only builds pressure, becoming stagnant, its power turning destructive, seeping out in perverse and neurotic ways, in anxiety, in anger, in addiction. The path of transmutation is the path of the river warden. It doesn't stop the river. It builds channels. It directs its powerful flow to irrigate barren lands, to turn the turbines that generate light, to bring life and abundance to its entire kingdom. It learns the rhythm of the water, respects its power, and guides it towards a magnificent purpose. This is the alchemy of the self. You take the base material of raw, instinctual desire, the lead of your primal nature, and you transmute it into the gold of genius, of presence, of a life lived with masterful intention. When a man begins this journey, something profound shifts within him, not just psychologically, but vibrationally. His very presence in a room changes. This is where we return to our initial question. Do women react differently? The answer is an unequivocal yes, but not for the superficial reasons you might think. It is not a trick or a technique. It is a fundamental alteration of his energetic city. A woman whose intuitive faculties are often far more attuned to these subtle energies, doesn't consciously analyze it. She feels it. She feels a man who is not needy, not desperately seeking validation or release from her. She encounters a man who is self-contained, a man whose cup is already full. He isn't trying to get something from her. His presence gives something. Irradiates a calm, grounded power, a centeredness that is deeply compelling. The man who is a slave to his urges leaks his energy. He is psychically porous. His focus is scattered, his gaze is unsteady, his mind is a whirlwind of fleeting fantasies. He approaches the world, and women, with an undercurrent of desperation, a subliminal hunger. This is the energy of the taker. He seeks a woman to be a vessel for his release, a mirror for his ego, a temporary solution to his inner emptiness. And an intuitive woman feels this emptiness. She may be momentarily flattered by the intensity of his desire, but her deeper self, her primal wisdom, recognizes the void. He is trying to feel. It feels unsafe. It feels unsafe. It feels unstable. The man who practices transmutation, who retains his vital force, cultivates a different kind of energy. It is the energy of a blazing, contained fire, not a scattered wildfire. His presence is magnetic because it is whole. His focus is sharp. His mind is clear. His gaze is penetrating because his creative force is not being constantly dissipated. He is a generator of his own power, not a consumer of external stimuli. He meets the world from a place of fullness. It doesn't need a woman's approval or her body to feel like a man. He is a man in the deepest sense of the word, and he desires to share his world, his vision, his strength with a feminine partner who can meet him at that level. This is the energy of the giver, the protector, the creator. A woman's nervous system resonates with this. It feels safe. It feels seen, firing. It feels like home. She senses a man who has conquered his own inner chaos, and therefore can be a rock in the chaos of the world. He is not ejaculating his life force into the void. He is ejaculating his ideas, his projects, his purpose, and his love into reality itself. This journey, however, requires that you be willing to face your shadow. The shadow, as the psychologists Carl Jung described it, is the part of ourselves we repress, the aspects of our nature we deem unacceptable. And for many men, their relationship with their sexuality is buried deep within this shadow territory. The compulsive need for pornography, the endless scrolling, the hollow encounters, these are not signs of a high sex drive. They are symptoms of a deep disconnection. They are attempts to soothe a wound, to fill a void, to escape the terrifying silence of your own being. Every time you engage in that compulsive release, you are running from something. What is it? Are you running from the pressure of your responsibilities, the fear of failure, the deep ash of loneliness, the terrifying possibility of your own greatness? The compulsive masturbator is not a free man. He is a prisoner in a cage of his own making. Each release is a temporary parole, a fleeting moment of numbness before he is thrown back into his cell, weaker and more desperate than before. The orgasm becomes a drug, a quick fix for a soul that is starving for genuine connection, for real purpose, for authentic power. It is an anesthetic for the pain of an unlived life. This path of transmutation embeds you to become a warrior. The warrior of the light does not fight the dragon of his desire. He befriends it. He looks it in the eye and asks, "What is the message you carry for me? What is the power you hold that I have been too afraid to claim?" When you feel that intense urge rising within you, that familiar tension that screams for release, the warrior's path is not to indulge it mindlessly, nor is it to repress it with brute force and shame. The path is to sit with it, to breathe into it, to breathe into it, to feel its raw power without judgment, to close your eyes and ask, where does this energy want to go? What does it want to create? And in that sacred pose, you will begin to hear the answers. You will feel that raw, electric energy transfers. You will feel that raw, electric energy transfer. You will feel it rise up your spine, not as a desperate urge, but as a surge of creative insight. An idea for your business will crystallize. The solution to a complex problem will appear in your mind. The words for the book you've always wanted to write will begin to flow. The courage to have that difficult conversation will solidify in your gut. You will feel it sharpen your focus, deepen your voice, and fill you with an unshakable sense of self-possession. This is the alchemy. You are literally taking the energy that creates life and using it to create a life worth living. This is a profound inner work, a journey that goes against everything you've been taught. It requires discipline you've been taught. It requires discipline, awareness, and a deep commitment to your own evolution. It's a path that can feel lonely at times, because you're stepping off the well-trodden road of mediocrity and onto the mountain path of the master. And on that path, guidance and community are not just helpful, they are essential. You need reminders of your own power. You need to be surrounded by the voices and ideas that reinforce your commitment. If what I'm saying resonates with you, if you feel a stirring in your soul, a recognition of a truth you've always known but couldn't articulate, then this conversation we're having right now is just the beginning. I want you to consider this channel not just as something you watch, but as a training ground for the warrior within. By subscribing and hitting that notification bell, you are doing more than just getting updates. You are making a conscious declaration to yourself. You are saying, I am done being a slave to my impulses. I am ready to claim my power. I am committed to this journey of transmutation. You are plugging into a current of energy, a community of men who are waking up to their true potential. Do it now. Make that commitment. It's a small click, but it represents a massive shift in your inner world. It's the first step in channeling your intention. Now, let us walk deeper into the abyss, for it is only by facing the darkness that we can truly appreciate the light. This energy, when not understood and transmuted, doesn't just dissipate. It can turn toxic. It becomes the shadow that rules you. It manifests as jealousy, a desperate need to control others because you cannot control yourself. It turns into aggression, a lashing out at the world, because you are at war with your own inner nature. It becomes addiction, a frantic search for something outside of yourself to make you feel whole. Look at the world around you. The frantic consumerism, the political rage, the endless distractions, these are the grand-scale manifestations of untransmuted sexual energy. It is a world full of men who are psychically castrated, not by some external force, but by their own ignorance of their internal power. They have given away their life force for a moment of pleasure and are left with a lifetime of quiet desperation. The man who walks the path of transmutation becomes a force of nature. It develops what Napoleon Hill called a pleasing personality, but it's something far deeper than mere social grace. It is magnetismo. It's a charisma that emanates from his very cells. His voice carries a different resonance. His handshake conveys a sense of solidness and trust. His eye contact is unwavering, not out of aggression, but out of a deep-seated presence. He is fully here. He is not lost in a fantasy world. His mind is not clouded by the residue of his last release or the anticipation of his next one. This clarity of mind is a superpower in a world of distraction. It allows him to see opportunities others miss, to connect dots that seem unrelated, to influence and inspire others not through manipulation, but through the sheer force of his integrated being. This is the deeper meaning of success. It's not just about the money in the bank or the accolades on the wall. Those are often byproducts. The true success is the inner state of mastery. It's the feeling of being the calm eye in the center of the storm. It's the unshakable knowing that you are the creator of your reality because you have mastered the creative energy within you. When this energy is conserved and redirected upwards, it awakens the higher centers of the brain, the so-called third eye or the pineal gland. This is not mystical fantasy. It is a biological and spiritual reality. Your perception shifts. You become more intuitive, more creative, more insightful. You begin to operate on a higher frequency. You attract people, circumstances, and opportunities that are in resonance with this new, more powerful version of yourself. The world literally reorganizes itself around the man who has reorganizes himself from within. Let's be clear, this is not about becoming a sexless monk detached from the world. Quite the opposite. It is about becoming a true lover. The man who has mastered his sexual energy can engage in the act of love from a place of immense power and presence, not neediness and desperation. For him, sex is not a frantic, goal-oriented race to a depleting climax. It becomes a form of meditation, a dance of energies, a conscious exchange. It can be with a woman, truly be with her, for hours, bringing her to heights of pleasure she has never known, because he is not driven by his own desperate need for release. He is a fountain, not a drain. He gives of his presence, his energy, his love, without losing his core. It transforms the sexual act from a purely physical transaction into a sacred ritual that nourishes both him and his partner on a soul level. And that is the man a woman's soul yearns for, not the boy who needs to prove his manhood by spilling his seed. but the king who shares his kingdom. This journey requires you to redefine your relationship with pleasure. Society has taught you that the peak of pleasure is in the explosive release. But the mystics and the masters teach that this is the lowest form of pleasure. The highest pleasure is the constant, steady, blissful state of being that comes from having your life force, your kundalini energy, circulating fully and freely throughout your body. It's a state of vibrant aliveness, of heightened senses, of deep inner peace, and immense creative power. The fleeting pleasure of the orgasm is a pale shadow compared to the enduring bliss of a man who is full of life. Is the difference between a firecracker and the sun. One provides a momentary flash and a puff of smoke, the other provides constant light, warmth, and the energy that sustains all of life. Which do you choose to be? Consider the archetypes that live within you. There is the lover, who seeks connection and pleasure. There is the warrior, who fights for purpose and discipline. There is the magician, who understands the hidden laws of energy. And there is the king, who rules the inner kingdom with wisdom and integrity. The undisciplined man is ruled by a distorted lover, who has become an addict. His warrior is asleep, his magician is forgotten, and his king is dethroned. The journey of transmutation is the process of restoring order to the kingdom. You awaken the warrior to instill discipline, to stand guard at the gates of your mind. The warrior's discipline then allows you to hear the wisdom of the magician, who teaches you how to work with your energy. And with this power and wisdom, you enthrone the king, the integrated self, who rules with a benevolent and powerful hand, directing the lover's passion towards noble and creative ends. You become a complete man, an integrated man. Do not expect this path to be easy. You will be tested. Your old habits, your deep-seated conditioning, will rise up to challenge you. The siren song of instant gratification will be loud. You will feel the immense pressure of a society that is addicted to release. But with each moment, you choose consciousness over compulsion. You are forging the sword of your will. With each urge you transmute into a creative action. You are building your inner temple. You are recoding your neurology, rewiring your very being for power, not for weakness. You are reclaiming the life force that is your birthright. The man who dominates his sexual energy is not the one who denies it, who fears it, or who pretends it doesn't exist. That is the man who is dominated by it in secret. The true master is the one who has had the courage to walk into the fire, to feel its full intensity, and to emerge not burned but forged. He has crossed the abyss of his own primal nature and has integrated its power. He understands that this sacred fire can be used to create a child, or it can be used to create a symphony. It can build a family, or it can build an empire. The energy is the same. The only difference is the level of consciousness with which it is wielded. He has transformed the most powerful biological impulse into his greatest spiritual asset. So, we end where we began, but with new eyes. Do women react differently to a man who doesn't ejaculate his power away? Yes, because he is different. The world reacts differently to him. Opportunity reacts differently to him. The very fabric of reality seems to bend to his will, not because of some mystical mumbo-jumbo, but because of a fundamental law of nature. Energy flows where attention goes, and he has placed his attention on mastery, on purpose, on creation. He has ceased to be a leaking vessel and has become a radiant sun. His presence becomes a gift. His focus becomes a laser. His life becomes his masterpiece. The power was never outside of you. It was never in the next conquest, the next purchase, the next momentary high. It has always been flowing through you, waiting, waiting, waiting for the Master to come home, to claim his throne, and to direct its infinite potential towards the heavens. Your journey begins now. The fire is in your hands. Will you let it consume you, or will you use it to light up the world?